All right, guys, welcome to my channel, guys. So the matter of Trump threats, all right, it's really raising high concern in Nigeria, and that's the reason why a lot of persons are now beginning to look very deep into it. And to be honest with you, I think that is the best option for now, all right. And until the American government, all right, or the American military visits these terrorists, I don't think that things would actually stabilize. What I mean by that is that these terrorists are now coming out to reassure the Nigerian government, thereby telling them that if Trump's threat fails, that they are going to reinforce in a way that, in a manner that the government would never recover from. And also here, Dele Farotimi spoke immensely about this act that the government has refused to deal with. That is gradually eating deep into the integrity of the government. And also that has been claiming the life of a lot of Christians in Nigeria, but the government has refused to do something about it. So I like you guys to pay attention to his analysis and everything he said in this particular video. As a matter of fact, everything he said is just the truth. But how then are the politicians, same politicians we have in same country, all right, that are supposed to be, speaking with the president, maybe speaking with some of the high-profile politicians we have in Nigeria, in order to know the best way or the plans on how to actually get rid of this group of terrorists. But instead of that, they are now coming out on the social media to make it look as if every claims of every Nigerians with regards to the Christian genocide that is happening in Nigeria, that all are all lies. So we're going to also see and hear from Dele Farotimi, his analysis. And please, just in case it's the first time you're meeting us, please don't be in a hurry to leave. Hit on the subscription button right there and then turn on the post notification bell so that whenever we upload new videos, you get notified. So let's take a look and I'll be right back.
If one person is speaking in a small corner like I am, I'm blessed to have a platform from where I can speak. And so do you. Speak your local languages to those who cannot hear this Dogonturenchi or who may not understand the issues. Take it upon yourself to educate them. I was chatting with a lady this morning on Facebook. I think my friend on Facebook, Becky Shoei, was speaking to her frustration with how uninformed the average person in the West, let me just say the South, are about the issues in the North. And I had occasion to explain to her that we would all have to educate each other, because without educating each other, we'll end up mutually destroyed by the ignorance that has been weaponized against the average Nigerian. So if you have the opportunity, please speak to the people. Speak. Record a minute clip in your own language, share it within your network, educate yourself, because you really can't teach without educating yourself. So do that, educate yourself on the subjects that calls your attention, because if you see a problem, it's almost always because you have a part to play in its resolution. So speak your own truth in your own space, preferably in your local language. We also talk about the subject of Nigeria and the edification of lies. There is hardly anywhere you turn in Nigeria where you do not find lies actively edified, raised up, made to seem like the truth, forced down your throat sometime as the truth, in national discourse, in everything we do. Lies. We appear to have developed an estranged relationship with the truth. We see the self-evident truth and we argue counterintuitively against the truth. I don't understand how we expect that something would change from the reality of what is to what we will prefer it to be simply because we refuse to accept the truth. And we create parallel narratives in edification of the lies that we prefer to believe. In recent days, I am forced to reflect on this insanity because that is the only, when a society, an entire society, begins to suffer from a cognitive dissonance that prevents them from accepting self evident truths, and they dissemble and move beyond dissembling to demanding that you who insist on the truth are the liar. And even I have reflexively for some years had to gab myself as the insane in order to make the truth that I have had to say less offensive to the society that has become acculturated to lies. So in recent days, as Nigeria had to deal with the reality of the Trumpian mirror, found another English word. Trump held up a mirror for Nigeria. And since he held up this mirror to our country, I have seen a vain attempt at applying makeup to the image in the mirror. Now, that is a very funny metaphor. An image is in the mirror, and then you carry your mascara, your lipstick, and you begin to apply it to the image that is in the mirror that must constantly shift. Now, understand this. That is the nature of the lies that you have to tell against the manifest truth. Trump came out and he said, it was very specific. I actually have it jotted down. He put out 8 things. He says if the Nigerian government continues to allow, continues to allow, so they were allowing it. Is this a lie? Of course not. I was alive and well, and all of us were hearing. We were here in Nigeria when General T.Y. Danjuma said, they collude. They collude. The Nigerian army, they collude. He was the chief of army staff, a general, an eminently qualified member of what was once upon a time the Northern Oligarch, a veritable member of the Senate where they sit down to decide what became of this sorry country. He came out in the public, said, you collude. The army of the Nigerian state, it colludes. If you wait for them to protect you, you will die one by one. That was in Dele Farotimi. That was T.Y. Danjuma. If he doesn't know what he's talking about, who does? He has access to intelligence beyond my imagination. He's been a player. He's not just a player, he's a game maker. He says the army colludes. That is an institution he once led. So, what has Trump said that people are cackling like beheaded chicken up and down the place. The Nigerian government allows it. So that's the first thing that Trump said. The USA will immediately stop all aids and assistance. Think about it. How do I pay a drummer and the drummer will be playing a beat different from the one that I want to hear? He who pays the piper dictates the tune. Since our rulers have assured that Nigeria remains a beggar nation in spite of its riches, why would they not be told that the hates will be stopped? How does that become the problem of the victims? The AIDS never did anything for us, but has Trump lied? Has he not been giving AIDS? Has the Americans not been giving AIDS to us? We made ourselves beggars. And since when do beggars begin to have the mouth to complain about what those who gives it and in what denomination, or even when they give or do not give? And then he went on to talk about our now disgraced country. Question is this: does it require Trump to point out the obvious to us? What does it take for a country to become disgraced? A country that cannot conduct elections? The very first function of a state is the protection of the lives and properties of the citizens. How well has the Nigerian state protected the lives and properties of the Nigerian citizen? How well? This is a state that has failed woefully, and don't forget, deliberately, because it allows it. It allows it. Trump talked about coming gun blazing. He didn't say it was going to come gun blazing for me and you. He said it was going to come gun blazing for the terrorists. If we have a situation where our government have become so manifestly useless and irresponsible that it allows it, how then do you quibble with the person who is threatening to come and do what you have failed to do as your duty? Yeah, you don't want any guns blazing in our country. It's not you. This is not a problem that can be resolved with American gun blazing in our street. But surely we can do with a few help by America in killing off those who have been killing us. So please, these lies about anyway. Question is this: he spoke about Islamic terrorists killing Nigerians. And then the firestorm began. And it is because of the edification of lies in our society. Was quoted as saying very clearly, and I then went online to listen to the video. I watched the video myself. And what Gumi said was very interesting. He was seeking to make a distinction between members of separatist organizations like IPOB. He mentioned IPOB specifically, and the terrorists who are killing Nigerians indiscriminately across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Answering Gumi is not my preoccupation, but I am using Gumi to illustrate a point that must be made. When lies have become edified in a society, you'll find a situation where a man like Gumi, who should ordinarily be considered respectable, even though he is not. Once you get to know him, the more you know of the man, the more you read of him, the more you listen to him, the quicker you will find that he's deserving of no respect. Now, I am using what he said to illustrate a point, so I'll quote him. He says, yes, I know they have killed, and it is wrong to kill anybody innocent. Yes, he knows that they have killed, and then he qualified it. And it is wrong to kill anybody innocent. Who determines the innocence of the killed? He went further to explain how logical it is that peace be found with these murderous terrorists, whilst no peace may be found with the separatist agitators. Like I said, IPOB was only the type that he elected to use. I will put all separatist agitators in the same basket because separatist agitation must not, may not, and should never be equated with the madness of Islamic terrorism and Fulani militancy. Never. But these false equivalencies, which are in actual fact lies, have been erected in the Nigerian public space to normalize evil. There is a particularly gruesome reminder of why this should never, and this is not one that is particularly unique because it happens randomly, daily, wantonly, from the excused killing of Deborah in Sokoto, where an entire society, because it takes an entire society to normalize the evil, because there is a spiritual explanation, a theological normalization from the likes of Gumi, who believes that these jihadists have the right to kill those who are not innocent. Question is, who determines the innocence? Who determines the guilt of Deborah? Who determined the guilt of the Nigerian army and police officers who were killed summary style in 2018 in Iran, the headquarters of Kalibakwe? Three UNICEF staff were equally killed, execution style, their hands tied behind their back, shot in the head. These are the persons for whom Gumi is finding explanation. They went to Yelawata, over 200 persons. They burnt them in their homes. These are the persons for whom Gumi is offering explanations, seeking to normalize evil. Now, when a society begins the process of edifying lies, the first thing it does is that lies are normalized. Complex social, psychological, and institutional mechanisms that normalize these falsehoods are pushed and weaponized. Lies will be told to you by trusted persons. Persons you expect to say the truth will come out and tell you, oh, there is no genocide in Nigeria. There is no genocide in Nigeria, but people are being murdered in their homes. They are being displaced from their ancestral land, in some cases because of mining interests. In the plateau, there are documented cases of communities that have been wiped out and then resettled. And you say that's not genocide? Then what is? The extent of the edification of lies that has overtaken us has even led to a point where there is a complete absence of shame in admitting to the lies that have been told, to the ruination of this country. I was watching a piece recently where a former governor, just like a whole lot of them, but this particular one is very recent, was talking about how they weaponized lies to fight Jonathan not to remove subsidy, even though they knew it was the right thing to do. And the same APC has turned full circle to do the same thing that he then said was not the right thing to do. And there are no consequences. And then you look at the persons who stood behind that lie. Look at the lineup at Ojota. Look at the lineup at all the places where an entire, the totality of Nigerian civil organizations queued behind a lie. And that is why today the NLC cannot call a strike. None of the civil rights organization can credibly come out and demand civil action because of the lies they have told in pursuit of a political agenda. And they come back out. A lie that should be sufficient to destroy the public of the public life of somebody, of a politician, they come out publicly, admit to it, and nothing happens. With institutionalized lies, the Bureau of Statistics will cook figures, rebase the economy just to make it look good and make the political masters look great. We keep removing and adding zeros, and figures are beginning to lie in our country because we have edified lies. Government institutions are telling lies. Look at INEC. Brazen lies in pursuit of the political purposes of men. You subvert the totality of a country in pursuit of lies. We raise lies to high office. You see men, they will stand behind pulpits telling lies to the people. Brazenly too. No remorse. They get caught in these lies. If they are not drinking tea with God, they are moving from one toilet in the airport of one country to the toilet in another country. You are not receiving miracle alerts. All kind of lies, barefaced lies are edified and raised up. And nobody challenges them anymore. We even have them reduced to skits. And we all laugh over it. And you find these places jam-packed and these persons raised up as models in the society. Our courts, Lord Almighty, one of the commonest maxims that you find bandied around where justice is talked about, so the judiciary is the last refuge of the common man. To say that the Nigerian society is blessed with a judiciary that in any way, shape, or form delivers refuge to the common man, it's a brazen lie. I know this, you know this. Almost every judicial officer with conscience in Nigeria, when they are retiring, in seeking to distance themselves from the madness from which they have retired, they begin to preach against judicial corruption. They begin to preach. I have been involved in a case where a judge actually he granted an injunction, interim, not something that was on notice, ex parte. He granted it ex parte, directing police, DSS, civil defense to perform an act where the other party never had an opportunity to even be heard, and it has never been given an opportunity to be heard. And this ex parte order is still subsisting more than 8 months after it was granted. That is the country we have built. We've edified lies. I hope you read Chidi Odinkalu's piece about Wike's judge, the one that is exclusively reserved for Wike. That is the society we have built. That is the judiciary that we have built. You find high government high government officials spreading lies and hatred from behind the desk of the state, and you expect peace to reign in such a society. But why do we allow this? There is first the confirmation bias. Because you've already decided that Christians are Hani or Kufri or all Muslims are terrorists. When they talk about the way a Christian life was dispensed with, doesn't hit you because you've devalued that life by the lies that you have already embraced. When they say all Muslims, note the word all, are terrorists, it's easier for you to embrace as well. You forget, of course, the Imam that hit so many, but who was he hiding them from? There are so many lies that we've embraced. We want simple answers to complex issues. So we embrace these lies. It is easier to believe that all my problems have come as a result of that person from that other tribe, of that other ethnicity, that other religion. It's easier, much easier. But look around us. What has it bettered for us? A breakdown of public trust, social fragmentation everywhere you look, economic instability. Who want to put money in a place? Even we amongst ourselves. What have we done to ourselves? Our democratic institutions have never been more fragile. All of a sudden, we are talking about coups. Nobody trusts anything coming from government. That is the level of widespread cynicism that has overtaken us. Look, we have come to a point as a collective where we need to stop subjectivizing the truth if we do not want to lose our society completely. There cannot be one truth in one place that becomes a lie when it crosses to the next place. Are Christians being killed? Yes. Are they being killed in disproportionate numbers? Yes. Are Muslims being killed? Yes. Who are the persons doing the killings? The truth becomes a little more difficult to wrap one's brain around at that point. But the truth of the matter is that when you have Islamic clerics, such as Gumi, coming out constantly to excuse evil, when you have Christian clerics, and I find very few that can be vouched for outside of the Buba, the Ayedon ones of this world, when they speak from both sides of their mouths and they cannot speak forthrightly to the truth of what is in front of them, you begin to ask yourself, how would that society retrace its step when it continues to reinforce lies? How? And there is a truth bias that reinforces all of this. When you sit down and you're watching your TV, unfortunately for some of you watching stations like TVC, which is the official mouthpiece of the APC and Bulaba, you take it that what you are hearing is the truth. So you have the truth bias. You read the newspapers, the news are paid for. You don't know which is truthful and which is the lie. So it behooves you trust the evidence of your own senses. Believe your own eyes. Believe your own brains. Do not allow yourself in any way, shape, or form to be distracted by Nigeria and its many lies. Do not allow yourself to be distracted. The truth is self-evident. It's right there in front of you. If it quacks like a duck,